Welcome everyone to our Sega Genesis 32X and Sega CD collection video. We have one of our Sega Genesis consoles here hooked up to the Sega CD Model 2. We actually have two Model 1 and two Model 2 Sega Genesis consoles. The rest are upstairs in the bedroom. As you know from our tour video, I usually keep one of every console downstairs ready to hook up and play. The Sega Genesis is a system that we're not quite done for. There's still a handful of games that we're looking for. It was the second system I ever owned after the NES. I went with it over the Super Nintendo and then moved on from that to the original PlayStation. I still really enjoy the system. Again, there are a few more games I want for it. Sega CD, if the games weren't so darn expensive, there'd be a few more I would go for, but I'm pretty much done with Sega CD. I have what I have and I enjoy it. But I really like the Model 1. I love the startup sound and everything. I like it. I got this pretty cheaply too. It was considered in broken condition when I finally got my Sega CD, and I was able to fix it for a part that was about $2 and about 30-40 minutes of my time. So that was a really great steal there. Great console. We'll start with the boxed Genesis games. First up is Last Battle. Sonic 2. Sonic Spinball. Stargate. Based off of the original movie. Mortal Kombat. Earthworm Jim, one of Amanda's favorites. She grew up playing it on the PC. Risk. This is a really good version of Risk. I had a lot of fun with this one. And Disney's Aladdin. And eventually I do want to get that collection of Aladdin and The Lion King for the Switch. I hope they do that with a lot of the older Disney games on Super Nintendo and the Genesis. Those I think would sell really well. Those would be really fun to have. Now for our loose cartridges, we have Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic 3. Cool Spot. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Pretty fun beat 'em up. Terminator 2, the arcade. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Samurai Showdown. Then we have Shining Force and Shining Force 2. Now these are two of my three favorite RPGs on the console. The other one would be Phantasy Star 4, which I have on a couple different Genesis collections. I played it back in the day. I probably traded it in back in the day with to get more PS1 games. And yeah, it's definitely way too expensive now since I already own two copies of it on multiple Genesis collections. But Shining Force 1 and 2 I still had. Great games, fantastic strategy RPGs, particularly Shining Force 2 I really liked. A great series. For the Sega CD, when I got that console, when I actually got the Sega CD attachment really cheap, as I said, I fixed it up. I got it for very little. They also threw in some free games, and that was really cool. We had a couple that I would have picked up and a couple that I wouldn't have. Tomcat Alley, Sewer Shark, College Football, Echo the Dolphin, The Tides of Time, and my favorite of this little bunch here, Lethal Enforcers. Power Rangers. Rise of the Dragon. This is really good. This is definitely a fun point-and-click adventure game. Similar atmosphere to Blade Runner. Crime Patrol. And my favorite of the group, we have Dungeon Master 2 Skull Keep. I was very excited when I found this, even more excited when I found out that it was on Sega CD, because I had this back with my old Power Mac. I remember in the basement of our old place, and I can never remember the name of this game. I remembered it, I could hear the music in my head, I just had these memories of this game, but I had no idea what the title was. I could not remember, and I was watching a video on Sega CD games on YouTube at one point, and someone had this. I'm like, that's what that is. I can't believe it, that's what that is. And then I was able to grab it on the Sega CD. A really good port of the game. Fantastic, a lot of fun to play if you like those old school type of dungeon crawling RPGs. Definitely feels very much like something from that era. A lot of younger people probably wouldn't enjoy it, but I absolutely love it, and it's great having it on the Sega CD, and it's a little more accessible than trying to, hook up on a really old Mac or something like that. And then our lone 32X game, Doom. They actually just kind of happened upon it at a yard sale a few summers ago. I guess like 4 or 5 years ago, at least at this point now. Someone was selling off a large portion of their collection. It was pretty far away, and a lot of it was gone by the time I got there, but a few things were left, including this complete in box in a protective case copy of Doom for 32X. So that is a look at our Sega Genesis collection. Again, there are a few other titles that I'd like for the Genesis itself. Sega CD, someday I might pick up a few Japanese titles to go with the Laser Active when I get that, but aside from that, I'm pretty much done with the Sega CD. A lot of the better titles for that have just gone through the roof. I'm never going to own a copy of Snatcher, that's for sure. It's just not worth the money anymore. But yeah, definitely a console that we still enjoy playing to this day. Great classic system, one of Sega's best, and definitely a great throwback to the 90s.